Under the ancient shadow of the mighty Shaolin Temple, where history breathed through every carved stone and whispered secrets across quiet courtyards, an event unlike any other was about to unfold. Amid the stirring silence of the temple's vast central arena, two destinies converged as if drawn together by fate itself. In that hushed moment, under the solemn toll of the temple bell echoing through cool morning air, the stage was set for a duel that would forever alter the legacy of the temple. Master Liang, renowned for his unyielding strength and the legendary iron body technique, an art so formidable that it could force spears to bend and stones to crack, stepped forward with the weight of decades of mastery upon him. At the same time, Sister Mei-Lan, a quiet, determined monk who had ascended to greatness through the subtle yet potent art of the Lotus Palm, a style blending delicate grace, extraordinary speed, and deceptive calm, approached the very heart of the arena. These two resolute figures, each embodying a different yet equally profound interpretation of martial power, marched toward destiny. In that charged silence, as the cool breeze carried mystical dust along the age-old flagstones, every heart present knew that this was no ordinary contest. It was a moment when legacy and evolution met, when tradition bowed to transformation, and when the eternal balance between strength and serenity was poised for a decisive test. The temple grounds, steeped in centuries of tradition and echoing with whispered legends, were alive with anticipation as the first light of dawn illuminated the scene. Monks gathered in respectful clusters around the upper courtyard, where history itself seemed to watch over the proceedings. The ancient stones bore witness to time's passage, with every step that echoed across them, memories of past glories and quiet contemplations of mortality stirred. In that ethereal glow, the ancestors of Shaolin appeared to linger in spirit, their silent approval evident in the gentle flutter of prayer flags and the subdued murmurs of the gathered disciples. It was here, in an atmosphere charged with both the weight of history and the promise of an unfolding revolution, that Master Liang and Sister Mei-Lan prepared to demonstrate their art, each representing a facet of Shaolin's storied heritage. Deep within the temple's inner recesses, the roots of this monumental challenge could be traced back to years of unwavering dedication and solitary practice. Master Liang had long been the temple's paragon of unbreakable will and monstrous strength. For a full decade, his mastery of the iron body technique had positioned him almost as a living legend within these ancient walls. The very air around him seemed to vibrate with kinetic energy, the echo of his past victories resonating in every controlled breath and measured stance. In training halls steeped in incense and the sound of fanning palms, he had honed a discipline that transcended the ordinary. His form was as immovable as the mountain, and his strikes, precise and devastating, were a testament to a lifetime's worth of devotion to the martial path. In contrast, deep in the quieter quarters of the temple's lower halls, Sister Mei-Lan had forged her own unique route, a path that required as much introspection as physical exertion. While many of her peers embraced the overt power of brute strength, she discovered an art that celebrated the harmony of yielding and resisting. The Lotus Palm, her chosen technique, was not a matter of force alone, it was an intricate dance between awareness and action. In the still hours of early morning, when the world outside the temple was merely awakening, Mei-Lan could be found in silent meditation, attuned to the subtlest shifts in the air. Her every gesture was deliberate, her every motion a soft counterpoint to the thunderous roars often expected in a martial confrontation. It was said that she listened not only with her ears but with the core of her being, a listening that allowed her to perceive the hidden currents of energy that wove the universe together. The spark that ignited the coming duel was born from Mei-Lan's profound display of skill, a day when she shattered the temple's sacred wooden dummy in two with nothing more than a focused burst of palm wind. In that breathtaking moment, as splinters danced in the wan light, the abbot, wise and ever watchful, saw both the beauty and the necessity of testing her abilities against the hard-edged might of Master Liang. He recognized that while her techniques were soft and yielding, they carried a power that could redefine what it meant to be a master at Shaolin. And so, with measured solemnity, he decreed that their meeting in combat would not only decide who would lead the next generation of martial artists but would also determine the course of the temple's future. In the days that followed, anticipation wove itself into the very fabric of the temple. Preparations for the Crimson Moon Festival, an event steeped in ritual and ancient symbolism, were imbued with an air of both excitement and uncertainty. The festival was no ordinary celebration, it was a time when 108 monks, the temple's stalwart guardians, would gather to witness a duel that could shift the axis of tradition. As the festival's arrival loomed closer, Master Liang's training grew ever more intense. His regimen became a symphony of rigorous discipline, each strike against weathered iron and shattered clay resonating with the echoes of centuries past. Every movement was steeped in the relentless pursuit of power, a pursuit that had been refined over countless hours of solitary toil. His determination was as palpable as the shimmer of heat on a summer day, and his reputation as the Iron Dragon was unchallenged, or so it had long seemed. Meanwhile, in the chill of early stormy mornings, Mei-Lan embraced the elements as both mentor and adversary. Rain fell in steady torrents, drenching the ancient stones and blurring the lines between heaven and earth. Yet, amidst the downpour, she remained motionless and resolute, drawing upon the natural force of the storm to refine her graceful art. Each raindrop that kissed her skin became a note in an unfolding symphony, a reminder that even the most delicate force could be harnessed to shape destiny. In her solitary moments, as thunder rumbled in the distance and the winds languidly swept through the corridors, Mei-Lan meditated upon the ancient teachings of balance. Her practice was not a rejection of strength but rather a gentle recalibration, a subtle unfolding of the potential that lay hidden within the union of soft and hard. As the hours folded into days, whispers spread among the corridors of the temple. Younger monks traded quiet observations in hushed tones, speaking of miracles and shifts in age-old practices. They marveled at the sight of Mei-Lan's solitary movements, so precise that even the fleeting caress of a passing breeze was transformed into instruction. Some believed that if her techniques prevailed, the rigid doctrines of the temple might evolve into an embrace of a more fluid philosophy. Others, tethered to traditional dogma, feared that such a change would erode the storied strength that had defined Shaolin for generations. But amid these divergent viewpoints, one truth was beyond dispute. The impending duel was not merely a contest of physical might. It was the embodiment of a turning point, a delicate interplay between two philosophies that promised to reshape the very soul of the temple. On the day of the Crimson Moon Festival, as the first blush of dawn painted the sky with hues of soft gold and gentle amber, the assembled monks gathered around the central arena in reverent silence. The vast courtyard, framed by ancient pines and weathered stone guardians, lay transformed by the luminous interplay of light and shadow. Every eye was fixed on the slowly clearing horizon, where the promise of a new era glowed in the early sun. It was amidst this breathtaking panorama that the two masters, Master Liang and Sister Mei-Lan, stood poised to demonstrate not just their martial prowess but also the timeless interplay of passion and precision, of power and poise. When the duel began, every moment unfolded like an intricately choreographed dance, a seamless juxtaposition of raw energy and artful control. Master Liang advanced with the force of a relentless storm, his every movement a thunderclap of determination. His strikes, honed through years of rigorous practice, carried an almost palpable weight, a physical truth undeniable in its intensity. In contrast, Sister Mei-Lan emanated an aura of quiet resilience. With every step she took, there was a measured softness, as though the universe conspired to cushion her movements. Her Lotus Palm was an elegant counterpoint to the resolute blows of the Iron Dragon. It was a demonstration of how subtlety and strength could coalesce to transform an inconvenient force into something profoundly beautiful. The duel was a study in opposites. Master Liang's every blow, imbued with centuries of martial tradition, slammed into the space between them like the fury of a tempest. His style was unyielding, a physical manifestation of the ancient codes that celebrated directness and overwhelming power. Yet, even as his fists sought to enforce dominance, the graceful movements of Mei-Lan revealed that there was another way, a method in which deflection and redirection replaced sheer force. The interplay of their techniques became a silent conversation. The heavy, measured rhythm of Liang's strikes was met with the light, fluid cadence of Mei-Lan's counters. Each collision of energy was an eloquent expression of a deeper principle, that true mastery was born not of overpowering one's opponent but of harmonizing with the inherent rhythm of existence. At one pivotal juncture, when the thunder of Liang's attack seemed destined to overwhelm all in its path, fate intervened in the form of a single, unforeseen moment. A blow, carved from the very intensity of his long-held skill, grazed Mei-Lan's shoulder, a brief, painful whisper of impact that sparked a murmur of astonishment among the gathered onlookers. In that fleeting heartbeat, as time appeared to suspend its relentless progression, the balance of the duel wavered. The assembled monks, their eyes wide with a mixture of shock and awe, watched as the delicate scales of destiny momentarily tilted. It was a moment when the theater of combat revealed its truest lesson. That vulnerability did not signify defeat but was instead a prelude to renewal. In that very instance, Mei-Lan, with a serene calm that contrasted sharply with the violent surge of Liang's power, transformed the moment into one of luminous brilliance. Drawing on the deepest reservoirs of her training, she shifted her posture in a movement both graceful and fierce. In a single, decisive flourish, later remembered as the heavenly lotus bloom, she merged the flowing techniques of the Lotus Palm with the intricately refined practice of iron thread breathing. This synthesis of skill and spirit allowed her to redirect the force of Liang's attack back upon him, a countermeasure as elegant as it was potent. The redirected energy, as if guided by invisible pioneers of destiny, struck Liang, reverberating through the courtyard with a sound like an ancient bell. Even the stoic stones seemed to hum in recognition of the transformative power at work. For a long, suspended moment, silence reigned. The air itself congealed into a quiet testament to the duel's profound significance. Master Liang, the epitome of indomitable strength, found himself forced into a stance of reluctant surrender. It was not a defeat wrought by bitterness but a humble acknowledgement of a truth that transcended personal pride. In that gesture, the lowering of a mighty head, the softening of unyielding eyes, was conveyed the understanding that the power of the body alone was not the entirety of martial mastery. Instead, the delicate balance of yielding and absorbing, of allowing softness to temper the hardness of force, radiated an enduring wisdom. In the stillness that followed, as the muted sounds of breath and whispered prayers mingled with the quiet rustle of wind, the temple experienced a subtle metamorphosis. The challenge that had once seemed like a contest between two incompatible forces now revealed itself to be a harmonious convergence, a merging of elements that had long been viewed in opposition. The mighty iron dragon and the gentle lotus were no longer adversaries but reflections of a deeper truth, that the beauty of Shaolin lay in its capacity to embrace contrasts, to draw strength from differences, and to allow the old ways and the new to intermingle in a dance as eternal as time itself. In the hours after the duel, as the sun ascended higher and bathed the temple grounds in a luminous glow, the atmosphere was imbued with a renewed vitality. The once rigid boundaries between tradition and innovation had softened, leaving in their wake a sense of boundless possibility. The monks, both young and old, began to re-examine their methods with fresh perspectives. In quiet alcoves and sunlit courtyards, the apprentices retraced their steps, integrating the measured power of the iron body with the graceful harmonies of the Lotus Palm. There was a newfound willingness to experiment and adapt, a recognition that the journey to mastery was not a static path but a continuously evolving conversation with oneself and the world beyond. In the quiet moments of reflection that followed the duel, the temple itself seemed to whisper of future days rich with promise. Every weathered brick and every ancient carving resonated with the dual voices of strength and balance. Time, which had once marched forward with an unyielding tempo, now appeared to offer gentle pauses, inviting the seekers to savor each lesson embedded in the temple's venerable grounds. As the morning unfolded, seasoned masters exchanged knowing glances while younger monks, their eyes alight with inspiration, adopted subtle nuances in their practice. There emerged an unspoken agreement that the true spirit of Shaolin was not found solely in the demonstration of power but in the willingness to blend vigor with compassion, determination with humility. Along the winding paths that circumnavigated the temple, the reverberations of the duel's impact were felt in every whispered conversation and every quiet moment of introspection. Some of the elder monks recalled memories of past eras when rigidity had governed the arts of combat, memories that now seemed distant against the backdrop of new possibilities. The ancient abbot, whose eyes bore the wisdom of countless seasons, wandered slowly beneath the gnarled branches of a venerable pine. In his contemplative stroll, he observed the subtle changes that had taken root, a subtle nod from a hardened practitioner, the delicate smile of a young disciple exploring a novel stance, the tender reverence in a teacher's voice as he recounted the lessons of balance. In every gesture and every pause, the temple itself was renewing its commitment to growth, a gentle promise that the fusion of old and new would light the path ahead. As twilight began to settle over the temple, the warm hues of dusk intermingled with the lingering glow of day. The quiet murmur of discussions and reflective silences filled the corridors while the distant chirps of evening cicadas served as a reminder that nature, in all its subtle elegance, was the ultimate teacher of balance. Within the serene confines of the temple library, scrolls and manuscripts were unfurled once more, inviting scholars and practitioners alike to revisit teachings that emphasized the union of strength and serenity. It was here that the ripple effects of the duel were most palpably felt, a renewed dedication to understanding the intricate relationship between power and grace, of hard and soft, echoes that reached across the centuries to remind every seeker that true mastery was a lifelong journey without a final destination. In that sacred space of reflection and renewal, the lessons of the day crystallized into a single, binding truth. Openness to change was not an abandonment of tradition but rather an enrichment of it. The legacy of Shaolin had always been one of profound discipline and unwavering resolve, yet it was now being reimagined to honor the quiet revolution ignited by one courageous duel. The gentle humility in Master Liang's posture and the resilient light in Sister Mei-Lan's gaze had together woven a new tapestry, one thread at a time, encapsulating the hope that every generation had the opportunity to grow beyond the confines of what had come before. As the night finally took hold of the temple grounds and lanterns were lit in quiet vigils, the spirit of that fateful duel continued to shimmer in every heart. The gentle union of the Iron Dragon and the Lotus became a living legend, whispered among practitioners on cool, dewy evenings and retold in measured tones beneath starry skies. In the silent embrace of darkness, as the ancient temple slumbered in peaceful repose, the enduring message of that day stood clear and undimmed. True mastery arises when one honors the duality of existence, when one recognizes that strength and gentleness need not oppose but can instead complete each other. The legacy of that contest, etched into every stone, every whispered prayer, and every determined step taken on the long path of martial wisdom, was a promise carried forward into countless tomorrows. Even as the temple settled into a contemplative silence, the promise of a transformed future remained as vibrant as ever. The unified vision of a tradition enriched by the synthesis of two distinct arts, the unyielding power of Master Liang's iron body and the delicate finesse of Sister Mei-Lan's Lotus Palm, filled every corridor, every training hall, and every heart with hope. The historic duel had transcended the realm of physical combat. It had awakened a timeless call to embrace evolution while remaining anchored by the steady winds of heritage. In that luminous juncture of past and future, the venerable Shaolin Temple found itself reborn, poised to lead the next generation of seekers down a path of balanced strength, compassionate resilience, and harmonious renewal. And so, beneath the vast expanse of an ever-changing sky and amidst the ancient pillars that bore silent testimony to the ages, the story of that fateful morning was forever enshrined in the temple's soul. A story that would be recounted with quiet pride, a story where the final duel was not the end but the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where grace met power in a timeless embrace, and where the sacred pursuit of martial wisdom continued to thrive in the hearts of all who followed the light of both strength and balance. In the gentle cadence of the night and the soft glow of the rising moon, the Shaolin Temple stood as a beacon of transformation. Its walls, steeped in tradition yet now open to the winds of change, bore witness to the endless dance between force and finesse. And in every ripple that crossed the quiet pond in the temple courtyard, in every rustle of ancient bamboo leaves, and in every contemplative pause of the meditating monks, the legacy of that historic duel resonated, a vibrant reminder that the path of true mastery is an ever-unfolding journey. It is a journey where every challenge transforms into a lesson, every block becomes a graceful redirection, and every breath taken in quiet reflection reinforces the eternal harmony between the fierce power of the body and the gentle wisdom of the spirit. Thus, as the first light of a new dawn began to cast its golden rays over the venerable grounds of Shaolin, the temple's legacy was irrevocably transformed. The combined spirit of the Iron Dragon and the Lotus bloomed into an everlasting symbol of unity, a testament to the boundless potential that lies when opposites in nature are not at war but rather in concert, forging a future that is resilient, adaptive, and profoundly wise. In that luminous new chapter, every practitioner, from the youngest novice to the most seasoned master, felt within their hearts the enduring call to seek balance, to honor both the strength that builds and the gentleness that sustains. And so, with unspoken resolve and humble determination, the generations that followed would carry the torch of this transformative tradition, ensuring that the spirit of Shaolin, a spirit defined not solely by power but by the eternal dance of harmony, would never fade.